Maniac, maniac, maniac. I'm a psycho. Maniac, maniac, maniac. I'm a psycho. We set the club on fire. Maniac. I'm a psycho. Maniac. I'm a psycho. Maniac. I'm a psycho. Maniac. Get back. Maniac. I'm a psycho. Maniac. I'm a psycho.
Yeah.
That's how you intro right there.
That's how you intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name's Parker Ament.
My name's Danny Ferrare.
And we are here with the bass house legend, Ephwurd himself.
What up, what up?
It's his actual name.
Yeah.
Bass house.
Basie Houser.
Does it say that on your driver's license?
It says Basie Houser.
Oh, that is
So
awesome.
Bass House is my
So
gamer
sick.
tag.
Talk about branding, guys.
Yeah.
So on point.
That's commitment.
Yeah, man.
Born into it.
So before we begin, make sure to drop a saturated sub on our channel. If you like this
Yes.
video, drop a like and tell us your favorite part in the comments.
Thank you for being here, bro.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it. Thank you, Bree, also as well, hitting the fog machine in the back.
Yeah, give a hand to Bree.
Yeah,
pretty
we're
cool.
super excited for you to be here.
Awesome. We're gonna go over some of your bass house.
Yeah, the Bass House.
The bass house.
Yeah, this bass house track is insane.
Dude, I love Bass.
So you're gonna do like a little track breakdown for us, and we're super excited to see. We're gonna ask you just like a bunch of questions, obviously, and this track is insane. I love the 90 house vibe. And should we get into drums first?
Yeah, I think going over the drums is a great idea.
Cool.
I feel like with like
Start with the fundamentals.
that's like the groove is so important. And like when you're writing a drop, are you doing your drums first, or are you doing your instruments?
Usually I'll actually bring in just a stock loop that I
Mhm.
know works for the groove. If I have an idea for the groove, usually there's like 4 or 5 different loops that I know can capture that groove.
Uh-huh.
And then from there, I'll expand on it and cut things up and replace elements.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's cool to keep the like inspiration going.
Yeah, yeah, because workfall is like so important. And if
Yeah.
you're getting hung up like trying to create your own hi-hat loop right when you're
Yeah.
trying to write the track, within 20 minutes, you're like, yeah, fuck this. I'm
It
out.
takes
Yeah,
way
you're
too
like,
I'm
long.
out.
I hate my life.
I'm done, yeah. Simple.
Oh wow.
Yeah. You might think that there'd be more,
Yeah.
but there's really not. When we get to the second half,
Oh, there it is.
yeah.
Yeah, that. Okay. The
So, yeah.
shuffle, man.
So that's where, like, I mean, when it comes to the hi-hat, you're literally just having the offbeat open hat, like the standard.
those are the offbeat snares that are just like kind of hitting. It's a 909 and a. Okay, so they're
Yeah,
just
so
claps.
it's 2 different claps. Yeah, that's what brings all the groove into the track. And then essentially, like, that mixed with the basses makes it feel more groovy than it actually is.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Now, do you swing your drums at all, or do you just kind of swing the synth?
It's actually mostly done through the side chaining, believe it or not.
Oh,
Okay.
cool.
Yeah, if you throw a side chain off, you can create an immense amount of groove with virtually doing like no programming.
How would you throw the side chain off? Like, are you talking about like with the attack, or
Yeah, so here I'll just open up any side
I'm
chain.
getting right into it, bro? Let's go.
Yeah, right.
Dude, we are going in.
We're here to get all your tricks.
Also, for anybody that uses Max for Live, I suggest getting Chain Shaper. It is better than Volume Shaper, better than LFO tool.
Oh, that's sick.
I abide by it.
I've never
It's-
heard of that.
It's a Max for Live plugin, and if at least when I use LFO tool and Volume Shaper, you notice with the sub, there's always that click at the beginning.
Yeah.
And if you try and like edge it forward, you might not get the groove you want.
Right.
Chain Shaper actually has like a look ahead function where I think it looks ahead 10 milliseconds. So you actually get a very clean signal, no clicks. I'm big on clicks. I fucking hate clicks.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, in terms of groove, literally all it is just sliding the fader over left or right.
And it's triggered by like a.
It's triggered by a ghost kick.
Okay, is it a full kick or just a transient? It's full kick.
It's just the transient, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you could put any transient in here. I just had this kick. It was the original kick that I was using, and then I realized that it sucked. So
As we all do.
yeah, yes, but it makes a great transient to trigger
It
a
goes
side
straight to
chain.
the side
That's
chain.
awesome.
Yeah.
Sometimes we use like hi-hats, like something super
Yeah,
quick,
like
right?
just a.
Yeah, if they have like this whole readout on how this thing works and how this guy designed it. It's super fucking nerdy. Yeah, I could get into this plugin alone for like an hour straight, but
That's awesome.
I'd rather not.
So you're just having a very late sidechain. Is that what's happening? Or
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
sidechaining
essentially,
super-
and I actually adjust it for different groups.
Uh-huh.
So mainly for like the bass channels. So the sub and the basses usually have the same exact side chaining
Okay.
because that's where the groove comes in.
Right.
It kind of gives it more swagger.
Yeah.
Just by like throwing it off just by a few milliseconds. And that enables me to actually have a very basic hi-hat pattern, at least for this track.
Right.
And then you have these little guys right here.
That's
guys-
really helpful.
Yeah, these guys are essential too for the groove. And I mean, like, you know, you're throwing it off on, oh God.
Yeah, that's a little swung.
Yeah, heavily swung.
Nice.
And this is all just manually putting it in. You know, you put it into what, like 2 bars,
Uh-huh.
and then once you feel a vibe for it, you copy it over and then adjust a few things here and there to like complete the fill at the end of the measure.
I think that's a good method too. Just like, because I think a lot of times people will get stuck on like really trying to make everything swung, but like if
Yeah.
you go with like that 2-bar rule, it's gonna still
Yeah.
sound the way that you
I
want
mean,
it to.
dance
you know?
music is repetitive. There's supposed to be like
Right.
a hypnotic nature to it. So,
Absolutely.
You know,
yeah, you have to have like an anchor point too.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
not swung, so everything makes sense. You know.
And working like incrementally is so important to actually like ending up working faster.
Yeah.
I agree.
Will you show us like maybe a little bit of your clap layering too? If we could hear the drums again, that'd be sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so simple. But that clap is coming out so nicely. I'm just people always ask about like making their own samples and how to sound design your own stuff. So
Yeah,
maybe
I mean,
go over
for
that
me,
too a
it's
little
not necessarily like creating from scratch. It's more so taking elements of different claps and I guess highlighting their best features to combine them and then subgrouping them, which is the most important, and then processing from there. So let's see. What do we have? Like on its own, that sounds like shit.
right.
But then you add in as the
Some
high
white
end.
noise.
Yeah. And then
909.
and then the 9 gets like the meat of it.
Yeah, it's a great clap.
Yeah, it's a great layer.
There's just sometimes like those songs that you find and you're like, especially with a clap, like especially when I'm making house or anything, and that clap just comes through so perfectly, and I was like, I don't have to do shit to it. I've already layered it correctly, and it's like it makes the song so.
It's a magical
good.
clap.
It really is. But then sometimes you really struggle with it. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it takes a lot of work to find the right one. I feel like that's really important.
Yeah. I honestly, at the end of the day, the most important elements of the track are the kick and the clap.
Yeah.
It's the
right.
thing you hear the most. You're hearing it throughout the whole track.
Absolutely.
If it sucks, then like ultimately your track sucks.
Right.
No
Absolutely.
pressure.
Let's get into your bass sound design.
Yeah, let's get in
All
there.
right. Where do we start? Should we start from the beginning of the drop?
Yeah.
or- This sound right here is actually modeled after a TB303. And
Okay.
when designing it, I had that exactly in mind. So Serum has a wavetable called Acid, which is based off of a 303.
Nice.
It's super fucking simple patch, but it gets the idea across. Like it's literally just the Acid wavetable and then modulating the wavetable position, and then throwing an envelope on filter and on wavetable position. Yeah, see, I open it up.
Oh, cool. With the decay?
Yeah, so with the, I don't know if you've ever played around with like a TB303.
Yeah.
It's such a basic synth,
Right.
but it's accomplished so much in dance
Yeah.
It really
Very
has.
true.
and it's fun like trying to like recreate something like that in Serum first
Right.
of all because it's fucking easy.
Yeah.
And it sounds great.
Absolutely.
So like taking that rudimentary design of a synth and then just applying like what you would do to a 303, just add distortion.
right.
And then OTT, which I put on everything.
Yep. 18 dB. I love it.
This also doesn't cost like $1,200.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and I boost the shit out of it.
Yeah. Nice. Can you solo it too so people can hear what it
Yeah.
sounds like?
So just for the intro.
Wow. That's so plucky. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it goes into the second one down here where it kind of builds up more. So this is where the fill is. So there's the build one. And essentially it's the same synth, but just building up more on the automation.
Nice.
Yeah,
And then maybe like in the mix together again.
yeah. So the whole thing together.
It sounds like a drum.
Yeah, it sounds like a percussion.
That's the nature. That's like what I was trying to go for.
So cool.
Almost let go.
And especially at the fill. This is my favorite part. At the end of the
Almost let go. Maniac,
Yeah.
maniac, 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 maniac. Almost let go.
I'm gonna try that.
Maniac, 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 maniac. Almost let go. 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 We set the club on fire.
Nice.
before we get ahead of ourselves, there are a couple things in this that I think are very important, and it's space.
Right.
So the two things that I have are my new favorite delay, the
Which we
XLA
have to buy now.
2500.
Oh yeah, now we got to pick that up.
Yeah, I think you might be able to get it on UAD, but I got mine through Plugin Alliance. There's kind of like this weird cross like business going on between
Yeah.
those two companies.
I noticed that too.
Yeah. So this one's great, and then the standard Valhalla room.
Yep.
But there's one thing about reverbs that I don't see a lot of people doing that I think is like vitally important, which is like the mathematics behind syncing your reverbs to your track.
Ah.
So there's this equation.
Oh fuck! You're about
Oh,
to blow
let's
my mind
do
right
it.
now.
Yeah. How can I bring up my calculator on here? Okay, there we go. So 60,000, right? Divided by your tempo. And then you do subdivisions. So to have like a mathematically correct reverb response, that's the equation. So wait,
Will you move it
hold
to the
on.
right
Yeah.
when you're
Move the reverb or here, I'll
Yeah.
bring this up first. So
Okay.
234. So that can be 2.34 seconds, or if you're talking about pre-delay, that can be 23.4 milliseconds. So subdivide that again to get a smaller response. That's 11.7. So what I have on here, 11.7, 1.17,
Sick.
and then you adjust it accordingly. So when it when you're thinking about groove in these tracks, all these elements come into play between the way you work your reverbs, the way you work your delays.
Right.
Like that plays into the groove and makes things swing better.
Absolutely.
So like, if you drag a stock reverb on, you don't really have an idea of like where that ends, where those noises begin and end.
True.
But I do.
Right.
Like at least now, like somebody taught me this like years ago, and I totally forgot about it. And one day I got this plugin that showed like the breakdown of milliseconds to beats per minute. And I was just like, oh my God, like I need to be applying this to this shit. Like,
Wow. So
Yeah.
that 60,000 number, what is that based on? Is that like a minute?
yeah, I think so.
It has to be,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, I learned
60,000.
about this in school, and
Why didn't you tell me, bro?
well, I mean,
This is
I,
sick.
It's one of
I
those
don't.
things you learn and then you fucking forget to apply it.
Yeah.
And then, like, yeah.
I would always think about it as the delay and not the reverb time. So
Yeah.
that's crazy to go in depth on the reverb like that.
Yeah, and it's not even like a very complicated thing. It's like your delay has these features built into it, and like there are some reverbs that have it. I know like Native Instruments has what is it, like Reflector
Yeah.
or something. They have this feature built into it where you can actually like sync it up.
Wow.
But yeah,
So why would the pre-delay be like, I see that they're the same number, but why is I guess because you're just basing it on the ratio of like how a decay is, like you're not going to put the decay at 11 milliseconds because that's just going to go forever. But
Yeah.
technically it would still end where it's supposed to, where like the bar would end, correct?
Yeah.
So it'll end on beat essentially.
Yeah, so like pre-delay is good because it'll create that additional groove. Like that's kind of a hefty amount of pre-delay.
Yeah.
But it for something like a bass, it plays in conjunction with the delay, and it works
Very, very cool.
out. And then in terms of decay time, it's just like I kind of think simple. I'm like, do I want a small room? Do I want a large room? Do
Yeah.
I want like an extra large hall? And you just subdivide it by 2.
Oh my God, you
That's
just blew
awesome.
my mind.
Yeah.
I'm so going to do that now.
That's
And
fun.
are you still automating it off too, or at certain points?
It depends on the instrument.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
For this one, I am not. I think I'm automating. Hold on, let me check.
That's a nugget nodge right there.
That is a super nugget
Smoke
notch.
that knowledge up, dude.
All right.
Smoking it up.
Yeah, I'm not doing anything to that. I'm not automating like the volume off or anything like that. It's just carrying out.
Sounds great.
Yeah. All right.
Nice. That was a great. I'm blown away, dude. I didn't know that you were a fucking mathematician, dude.
Dude, we're gonna have our calculators
I can
out
do
on the
basic
next session
math.
for sure.
Well, it's like the same thing with like when you're saturating at 808, where you go to like the harmonic frequency and then you double it. You ever do that
Yeah,
before?
yeah.
Frequency in the note chart.
Hacker shit, dude.
808,
dude.
808s on their own is like
Yeah.
like a year's worth of tutorials.
Yes, yeah.
For real.
I'm still trying to figure that one out.
You know what's funny about 808s is like when you start off, you start doing way more to them, and then when you get better at them, you start doing way less.
Yeah,
Get me noticed?
exactly.
Yeah. It's like a sine wave with a pitch envelope and like saturation.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's-
But
and
before
it-
you had like a chain that's like
Right. It's funny how that works. Cool. Let's get into what else? So you got the intro part. We went through the build. I got a question. Are you starting when you're starting a song? Are you usually starting with your build or your drop or your intro? Like what's?
I think it's different every time.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
whatever you're feeling.
Yeah. I think with this track actually used to sound completely different, and I kind of like wasn't down with it. But then I heard this new sound. It was the Resto part. I was like, damn, you know what? Like, this would work on this tune. And from there, I like completely reconstructed everything just based off of one sound. So like, I guess it really just comes down to like what you're feeling at the moment.
Yeah,
Nice.
like me and Danny, sometimes we just throw a build on there and then we just mess with the drop for a little bit, but then like sometimes we create a verse from the
on
drop.
accident.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. We're like trying to do a verse, but then it turns into this crazy drop, you know?
Yeah, man, it's insane. Like even finding one sample, you can be like, I know how to make an entire track out of this 1 2-second sample.
Yeah, man. That's awesome.
I guess should we get into drop stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's jump right
Going to
in.
drop territory.
We set the club on fire. Maniac. I'm a psycho. Maniac. I'm a psycho.
That's all those sounds. Maybe we just like go through a little bit of even like that first Rusco one you were talking about. That one's pretty sick.
This bass, not gonna lie, it's Nexus.
Fuck yeah, bro.
Shameless,
Nexus.
baby.
Yeah, I'm shameless. I don't give a fuck.
Hey, Marshmallow does it.
Yeah.
yeah. Marshmallow made $21 million in a year.
Yeah.
Off of Nexus. But yeah, I like Nexus 3 came out and I heard this pack and I was like, oh my god, that's like instant Rusco sound. But when I patched it in, it was kind of fucked up, so I had to bounce it to audio and then adjust the volume just like slightly. So if you see down in the bottom, it's like 1 dB, 2 dB.
Okay.
I
Just to,
think back there, it's down to 0. Had to crossfade some stuff.
Nice.
basically did manual compression.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, because the original signal it didn't look pretty.
Yeah.
It was it was all over the place.
I like how you're like +5 on the gain
Yeah,
on the track.
that's a whole different story. I'm kind of like a gain. I go a little aggressive.
But yeah, you guys look. It's +5 right there. Whatever sounds
but,
good.
But then you look at my group and it's -5.
And then -5 back down.
Bring it all back down.
That just goes to show like the chaotic nature of workflow. You're like, this sounds sick, and then you're
It's
like,
insane.
I need to dial it all back a bit.
Yeah, you just got to use your ears.
Yeah.
Whatever sounds good.
Yeah, so maybe like at the time my speakers were really quiet. I was like, this needs to sound louder.
yeah.
And then I turned it up. I was like, no, it needs to come down. So yeah, the sound was good, but I guess on its own, it was like, it was cool. Here, I'll play the original without everything.
It needed some balls.
Yeah, it needed some
definitely
balls.
Need some balls.
Saturn, always fucking great for everything. Like the main distortion plugin I use.
Do you have a favorite preset that you use on there?
Yeah, it's under the drum section. It's Crispy Fats.
Crispy Fats.
Crispy fats.
Yeah. But yeah, it needed more meat. So there's like the low signal, which is just
Nice.
a basic massive patch. So carbon, maths, just a fucking ramp on the LFO.
I haven't opened up Massive in so long. It's
Ma-
so dope looking at it again. Seriously,
Are you
I
guys
missed
just
it.
are you guys just all serum?
We're
now?
all serum.
All
No,
serum?
like I opened it up like 2 weeks ago, and there's some things that it just can do that Serum can't, especially with like polysynths too. The way it sounds, there's like a sound quality to it.
It's weird too because I have all of the wavetables loaded into Serum.
Yeah,
It just hits different.
it's not the same.
It hits different. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, they're both good. I mean, I'm so used to Serum, but it's fun to go back into Massive because you get so you put yourself in a box sometimes with one synth, or
Yeah, I'm big on that. I hate getting wrapped up, and like Serum, you can get lost in it so easily.
Yeah.
There's so many fucking possibilities, which is great.
right.
But like, I'm trying to make a track, not like make one bass sound.
Yeah.
Is like the sickest sound ever.
Right.
And Massive's also great because it's not as hard on your computer.
True. Very
So,
true.
I mean, like I'm running like 140 tracks on this session.
yeah.
If this were to be all Serum, like it would have crashed already.
So, side note, real quick, do you ever have like sound design sessions where
Yeah, I
you're
was gonna
just
ask that.
making sounds and you're not thinking about the track?
Not really. I think like I'm good at making like one patch and then finding a way to extend that patch through like 4 songs.
Totally. That's awesome.
Well, that's your
man.
sound, though. You
yeah,
know?
yeah. I mean, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'll sit down and do it, but then it gets so like weird and out there that like I'll try and bring it into a track. I'm like, this fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just something that is so chaotically like complex that it just doesn't fucking work in music at all.
Yeah.
It works for like background noise in like a movie or something.
Yeah.
I feel like with sound design in a track itself, unless like a lot of like these really great sounds are always like the simplest sounds, and that's because people just make it right there. They're not spending a long time like really like if I'm trying to make a preset or if I'm having a sound design session, I will take a long time, but a lot of times there's like beauty in just doing something real quick and what you need, and like
Yeah.
almost like working on a real synthesizer. You're like not really thinking. You're like, okay, move this. move this.
Yeah, that's how I started. I brought my synth thinking we were gonna fucking use it today.
Hell yeah, dude.
Maybe next time, but I'd be down.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen today. But I think the beauty in simplicity is amazing because like, okay, this like one sound might be simple, but this is multiplied by 140 tracks. If you have
Right.
140 tracks of like the most complex, insane shit, it's just gonna sound like garbage.
Right.
Like you need to let things breathe, and the way to do that is have them be simple.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
There's
So-
there's a reason why all the pop songs on the radio is just like 4 tracks
Yeah,
or like
yeah.
2 main sounds.
Yeah, seriously, yeah.
But you're like not overdoing it with like a bunch of LFOs. You're like, okay, carbon, math, like here's one LFO,
Yeah.
OTT. You're doing it for a reason. You're not doing it just to like, oh, let's make a new sound. You're doing it to layer the other sound that
Yeah,
you already
it's
have.
to bring
It's
it,
its
yeah,
purpose.
it's to make something sound better.
I think that's a different mindset than sound designing. You know what I'm saying? Like really
Totally.
sound designing.
I guess at that point, I mean, it is a little bit of sound design, but it's for me, this is more like a mixing decision.
Yeah,
It's like
right.
because there was a part of the spectrum that needed to be filled,
Absolutely.
and Massive was there to fill that void.
yes.
That's awesome, man.
It's like, did you forget about me?
Insert any joke there.
Yeah.
So yeah, here, play them together, I guess. And
Yep.
then, of course, with the sub, which makes all the worlds different.
Nice. And what are you using for your sub? Just a sine wave?
It is Massive. I actually don't use a sine wave. I use a square wave.
Ah.
And then I apply EQ8 to it because I think when you're working on like I constantly reference my laptop speakers,
Yeah.
and because I mean, how many people are going to listen to it through their laptops? Like
Mhm.
that's a majority of it. Not
Yeah.
everyone's going to go to the club to like hear
Right.
your track all the time. And having a sine wave, you can rarely ever hear your sub.
Right.
When you use a square wave and you actually notch out the frequencies, you're still getting some of the overtones, which translate through the little speakers.
Interesting. Yeah. So you're using like it's almost like it's because the square wave has all those it has odd harmonics, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're cutting out those the highs of those odd harmonics and allowing the those frequencies just to come through a little bit, so you can hear that extra sizzle in your laptop speaker on your phone.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you're kind of like bringing it almost back down to a sine wave, but not quite. Like it's almost like its own saturator.
Yeah. Essentially, like, yeah, I could apply distortion to this, but really,
Yeah.
this is a cleaner way to do it.
It's
Mhm.
super clean this way.
Yeah.
I'm taking that little trick. I'm gonna try that too.
It translates really well.
Yeah, it sounds like a fat sub. I was like,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. Right. Like on its own.
Yeah.
Sounds like a square, or it sounds like a sine wave, but
Right.
it's a square wave.
And it's super clean too.
All right.
I like your processing too. It's just like basic processing. You
Yeah,
know? It's
I
just
just
like make it sound louder.
I just overdrive the shit out of OTT all the time.
I love it.
Also, I don't know if anybody fucks with the time on OTT, but that's like world of difference.
Yes.
Oh yeah, man.
Anybody who leaves OTT at just 100%, it like it
With the tail.
yeah, like you can hear the difference immediately. It just tightens it up so much. Yeah, this patch super fucking simple. Once again, it's literally
It's okay.
I think I was like playing around with a bunch of stuff and then decided like smooth square. I think I have phase set on it. position. I don't even.
I think, you know what, I gotta say, I mean, you probably know Massive 100 times better than I do. I still do not understand. Like, I know to mess with the phase and the position and the FM, but I still don't understand how that modulation oscillator works. Is it like, is the knob itself the dry wet, and then there's also pitch, but is it on both of them? Like, how have you? What's your understanding of that?
I think it's, from what I gather, it's
hard.
It's like the way it folds into itself. It's
Okay.
like it's not necessarily dry wet, but it's like a mount.
Got you.
It's like I guess if you were in Serum and you were like FMing something
Right.
on the macro and you turned it, like it gets more aggressive.
Right.
It's kind of same deal,
Okay.
essentially.
And then the phase, essentially, that would be like, because I like when I would use a Massive, like my thought would be like, oh, I want to make it more like growly. I'd put the phase and I'd automate it, or I want to make it more FME. I'd put on the filter FM, or what, you know. And it just seems like, for whatever reason, the thing I like most about Serum is the way that it's laid out for people to. It's the easiest synth to understand.
Yeah.
Where Massive is amazing, but I still, even like, I know how to sound design. Like, I have no fucking idea
You
how to
guys
use
are
this
fucking
shit.
great. Like,
Thank you.
I just started with Massive, so it's
Yeah.
just like what I like. I was doing this before Serum came. I remember when Serum came out. It was like,
Right. You had one wavetable. It was like, this is a growl. This is sick.
yeah,
done.
yeah.
I was like the Massive preset junkie. Like I had like a terabyte of presets in Massive, and I just couldn't figure
But
out.
that's
like,
how you fucking learn.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
that's really like. Unfortunately, they didn't tell you that like post processing is way more important than.
Oh, yeah,
building
exactly.
it.
Absolutely, man.
You're like trying to make the sickest bass within Massive. You're like, why isn't it comparing? And then it's like you slap OTT on it. And
Yeah.
Then you're like, okay, there we go.
But it's like, it's that simple. Like, most of your post processing for your drop instruments is OTT and saturation, and that's what we say all the time. Like that's
Yeah.
the basis of processing.
Yeah.
Make your shit louder and bigger. That's
Like,
it.
Okay, the few things that I'll do in Massive that isn't in the post chain is reverb, and it's the smallest amount just
Right.
to add dimension. I don't use like dimension expander with
Oh, okay.
Massive.
Interesting.
The reverb in Massive is amazing. I wish
It
it
is
was,
a good
I wish
reverb.
it was its own plugin, honestly.
Max for live.
Yeah, right.
Somebody's got to do it.
Probably Virtual Riot.
Yeah.
But honestly, like the reverb is so small that when it runs into OTT, it doesn't like fucking make it
Right.
expand forever like OTT does. But yeah, it's fucking simplicity, man. That's really like all it is.
Yeah, and it's just like you have just like a basic LFO on pretty much everything in this sound itself, on the band reject and the band pass, and it looks like on.
I have some on the EQ as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, also another big component of it. Just adding another filter essentially.
Right.
I think with this patch, I originally had the idea of creating shuffle within the patch, which is like a concept that I never really fucked with until pretty recently, where you take two different, like essentially like sine waves, or what is it? What do they call it? Like sinus uni.
Sinus unis.
Yeah. And then you offset it, but then so from there you throw it onto the crossfade curve, and in the stepper, you double the amount of what? Oh no, do you double it? I don't know if you double it or not. I've only done this like a few times for a few tracks, but you use this to trigger this guy to go down essentially.
Ah, okay.
So when the patch plays, instead of going like da 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 da, it goes da 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 da.
Oh,
So,
So
like,
that's what
swings it.
that's what the offset does, and the way the offset is triggered is through just literally half of this guy's up, half of this guy's down.
Right. Like if we were to draw that in an LFO, essentially be on and off.
we'd have to like
the
physically
square.
do it.
Yeah, it's easy to do in Serum as well, but yeah.
Wait, bro, what are you talking about, bro? You're fucking talking about. Like, you know a bunch of shit about fucking sound design, dude.
Yeah.
Dude.
In Serum, we would
Like-
have to manually make the
Yeah.
step
Oh,
sequence.
I've made this
you
one
know?
in Serum as well.
Yeah. I'm you know what you're talking about.
It's not so much sound design as it is more so like music theory though. Like if you
Right.
want to like, it's just how do you get a desired effect musically.
I think that's a really
I'm not trying to make like
yeah.
like
That's a really good way of putting it too,
like
man.
I'm trying to achieve a musical goal with this. It's not just like that's a sick sound. It's
Right.
like it like in the track I want to create like variation. Like how do you do that?
Yeah, I think that's really important too. What you said is like
Thank you.
it sounds like, oh yeah, is it beer?
Yeah.
5 o'clock.
Dello
somewhere.
time, baby.
Turn up Tuesday.
I can't believe you guys didn't hit tits and ass, dude. I'm disappointed in both of you.
Tits and ass, baby. Boom.
Thank you.
There
Okay.
it is. For you, Danny.
Yeah, so like you made it. You said you went into this sound and also the 303 sound with like a purpose. You were like, I want to make a sound like this.
Yeah.
And I think like it's great in a sound design session when you're just like creating whatever the fuck happens and allow yourself to do that. But also too like going in with a purpose of why you're making something, which is for this track specifically.
I think that's why I fail in sound design sessions. Like,
Yeah.
like the best I can do in a sound design session is make like a cool soundscape.
Right.
But I guess like when you're making a track, the track
It's
is
like
call-
motivation.
it's calling for something.
Yeah.
It's like a fucking siren in the ocean,
Mhm.
like oh, like
Totally.
And I guess that's where the simplicity plays in too, because it's like, okay, I need to make a percussive synth,
Right.
That sounds like a little bit distorted. That's really it.
Right. Very cool.
And then once you start stacking everything on top of each other, that's when it all comes together and sounds big.
It's awesome.
That's really cool, man.
Let's go into I mean, those are all the elements of the first drop. Is there any other sounds in there that we can go through? Or maybe we should hit that second drop.
We only got to this. Oh
Yeah.
my God. We literally just talked for the past 20 minutes about like half a beat worth of material.
Dude, we're going in
wait,
deep.
just for this.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, essentially that's the same patch, but then just modulating.
Slower FO.
Yeah. You either change the LFO or honestly, it's minor tweaks in the filters, or maybe even the modulation, like the amount of the modulation on the filters. Yeah, still the same thing. Maybe I think I might have changed. Oh yeah, the first one was an LFO. This one's a performer.
Right.
Virtually the same shape, but it kind of changes the characteristics a bit.
I'm a psycho. Maniac. I'm a psycho. Maniac.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds sick.
I think this one is Serum. Yeah, there you go.
There she is.
Yeah, Darsha blows.
F bass 3.
Yeah. Simple.
Do you
again.
organize your presets that you make into a folder?
No.
Or they just in like random sessions?
I think like out of the like 50 to 75 like official Ephwurd presets I've made, it's like F bass 1 through 4, and then the rest is just chaos. I think I had this like day where I was like, I'm gonna get my life together and like I'm gonna dial my presets. I got like 4 into
Woke
it.
up
and,
early.
yeah. It was like the one day I woke up early.
That's awesome.
But yeah, honestly, like the way I use Serum is kind of the same way I use Massive. It's just taking a couple waveforms and like modulating them off of each other, and usually just throwing a bandpass filter on it.
The basic shapes.
Yeah,
Love
basic
it.
shapes. Yeah, fucking delays off, a little bit of dimension. Phaser's great for all this stuff because like, we turn the rate down,
Yeah.
adds extra like filter notch, which is always great.
Oh, is that what that does? I always turn the rate down, but does it add an extra notch?
Yeah, I mean that's what yeah, because you're adding. If I always think of it,
I didn't know what it
I
does.
always think of it in terms of like EQ for some reason.
Yeah,
Like,
I guess you're right, huh? That makes sense.
yeah, because when you hear the extra like
The extra that thing.
the extra peak.
Yeah.
yeah. And you
We
can
know
sweep
about
it.
what we're talking about.
Yeah, right.
We know about
It always
peaks.
sounds better with the rate down. That's why I always turn it down. I use it like it makes it more of a filter for sure.
It's funny. The day I realized that like all filters are EQs was like
yeah. Right?
I was always like throwing like auto filter on things, and like somebody told me, I was like, well, why didn't you just like throw EQ8 on it and treat it like a filter? I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
No, bro,
What
it's
are you
different.
talking?
Dude, that is huge for people watching
Yeah.
at home too.
Yeah,
Like
dude,
that, we just
stop-
blew everybody's mind right
Stop
now.
using autofilter. It's pointless. Just use EQ8.
Yeah,
you have more control
Skirllex
over
was
it.
using EQ8 in that in his project files.
Hey, if
for a
Skirllex does
filter.
it, bro.
Yeah, doesn't he like macro like the peaks and actually
Yeah.
creates like
Yeah.
vowel movements
Yeah.
with it? Yeah, like I mean, you can do every filter in Serum. You can recreate in EQ8.
Very true.
Like,
Yeah. They're all
It-
just notches and
yeah, it would take a lot of time.
well, not the reverb filter because that has so many
Oh,
notches.
Yeah.
Or like a comb filter.
Unless you have an EQ that has an endless amount of points like Fat, but maybe you could do it with Pro,
Pro
Q.
Q.
But
Yeah,
This-
you might be able
36 hours later.
yeah, I'm not doing that shit. Can you solo this sound actually too? I I'd love for you to go through the processing of this too.
Yeah, the processing is actually the big part, and I'm
Oh yeah.
guilty to say that this Nero modular rack is not mine. I found, like, I was just sample hunting one day, and I found like a suite of Ableton plugins that just help make things sound more Nero.
Nice.
Cool.
And, yeah, so let's see what the modulation looks like on it. Okay, so I threw it on like the reverb tails.
That's cool.
See where this one goes. Oh, my computer's glitching out.
She's having a hard time.
Yeah, that's what happens with 140 tracks. Honestly, I wish I could tell you how I made this, but I didn't make
No,
it.
that's I use stuff that's pre-made all the time.
Let's check it out though. Just as I said, don't use autofilter. This one has autofilter
Right.
on it.
Okay, so that's just
Okay.
morphing. It
Yeah,
looks
so
like
it has a morphing filter. Multiband dynamics soloed on high. That's interesting.
Ooh, that's nice.
it's because it's got a chain for the mids too, I guess.
Oh yeah, and the lows. It split
Yeah.
it. Split
Yeah.
it
So we're
up.
in the
Yeah.
the high version of it. Okay.
There's vocoder in it.
That's cool. I love the noise feature in vocoder actually.
Yeah. It adds so much characteristic, and it's funny because like I'm not even using it for like the primary part of the noise. It's just like to accentuate the tail end of the reverb.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so there's all that. Oh god damn it! Let me turn off. So that goes in OTT, Saturn, EQing, and EQing once again, apparently. And
Look at that
tuner
nice
because,
wide Q right there.
Oh yeah.
Because it sounds good.
And then tuner because I'm pretty sure this patch is horribly out of tune.
I love that.
Horribly out of key.
Did you say that you went to music school?
Oh, fuck.
Oh yeah, suck it, baby.
There we go.
Yeah.
Saved it.
Yeah, I did go to music school. I went to Cal Arts for music tech thinking I was going to learn production, but I learned how to like build robots and like
That's
Dude,
cool.
that's crazy.
Battle bots?
yeah, essentially it was
Hell
battle
yeah.
bots. Yeah, like when I got there, they're like, "This is how you build a synthesizer and reactor from scratch."
Wow.
My teacher was like hardcore German. He was actually one of the guys that made Massive.
Really?
And like,
Dude, that's
like the way
crazy.
he would describe building synths was like rabbit colonies. He's like, they multiply. Like, I was like, so I left after a year and like, cause I started getting work, and yeah, I figured I wasn't gonna achieve my goal of like learning production.
So actually, you know, if you don't mind like sharing that, like what was your story as far as like getting yourself out there as like a producer and artist?
So I left high school and I was into making music. Was awful. I fucking sucked. Like, also back then, this was like 2007.
Right.
So like YouTube tutorials weren't a thing.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
Like people like Noisia was the shit because they were doing all these techniques that nobody else did.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I think Skirllex's EP came out like 3 years after I graduated like high school. So
Mhm.
I mean like this is a time when dance music was not doing
You're
so
right.
well.
No, you were in it before it was cool.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Really?
Well,
For
I
sure.
grew up like loving Aphex Twin and Square Pusher.
Yeah,
So
okay, so-
essentially I wanted to be Aphex Twin.
Right.
I was
I
like,
love those guys.
Yeah, like when I graduated high school, I was like, oh, I want to like have all these analog synths and fucking
Grow my hair out.
make cool IDM music.
Dude,
and
he makes music in some like computer program. It's not even like
there's a lot.
It's two people, isn't it?
No, Aphex
no.
Twin's one guy.
Aphex Twin is one guy, but it's like some weird like Linux program or
Okay,
something,
cool.
right?
There's a lot about Aphex Twin I could get into. That could be a
Oh my
whole separate
gosh.
discussion.
We'll
That-
make another video for that
yeah,
because I love
that's-
Aphex Twin.
Dude, that's a whole fucking world.
Sorry, you were saying so you wanted to be Aphex Twins
Well,
in Square Pusher.
I think I like when I got out of high school, like it was weird. I went to like an artsy high school, and for some reason, all the kids in my high school smoked a lot of weed and listened to like Boards of Canada, Aphex Twin, like Square Pusher, and naturally, like we all started getting into analog synths, and between having like analog synths and smoking a lot of weed, I was like, I want to do this forever.
Hell yeah.
So when I left high school, I was like, all right, how can I achieve this goal? I stopped smoking weed like a year after too.
Sick.
But
Awesome.
But I started just applying for jobs at record labels. And so yeah, one of the labels I applied for was Dimmac, which is Steve Aoki's record label.
Right.
And back then, Dimmac was releasing really dope music.
Mm-hmm.
Like weird band shit that I like really like. There's this one band called Battles.
Oh, I love Battles.
Right, dude.
The drummer's crash is like all the way up here. He has to stand to
Love
hit
it.
his
It's just,
crash.
Weird, weird, like avant-garde shit. That I was like, oh, I like this band. I was like, Dimmac. I didn't even know who Steve Aoki was at the
Right.
time. It was like, that was like kind of like Ed Banger, like Justice was just getting big.
Oh hell yeah.
And to be honest, like I didn't give a fuck about dance music.
Yeah.
I like at that point I was like, dance music sucks. Aphex Twin is the fucking supreme of all these guys.
Yes.
Like,
That's so awesome.
but I ended up getting the job, and I folded T-shirts for like 2 years.
Wow.
but,
Oh, man.
But I got to like go to all the shows and like meet all these guys. Like the first show I went out to, like Steve played with like some of the guys from Justice, and like I got to like hang out with all these people. Like I didn't
Wow.
I didn't know any of these people either. I was just like,
But
I
dude,
was-
that's
I
awesome.
was like, oh my God, I can get drinks. Like I'm underage.
Dude, that's sick though. That's like the grind. Like you
Yeah.
were folding T-shirts for 2 years, but you got to meet all of those connects.
Yeah, and then like I think eventually like I started liking dance music. It took a while to break the mold.
yeah.
And then eventually I went from like folding T-shirts to tour managing Aoki, and then I was on the road with him for like 3
Wow.
years. And that was just like the most chaotic period of my
I would
life.
imagine a lot of cake.
Dude,
And
he's
I was with him before the cake started. I was
Before
with
the
him
cake.
right when the cake
Wow.
started.
Damn.
So like
he's like the busiest touring DJ in
Yeah,
the world,
dude,
right?
I think I like in a 3-year time frame I did about 800 shows.
Oh my
Wow.
god.
Yeah. It was rough.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
It was rough. I feel like I like lost years off my life.
That
Yeah.
sounds inhuman if you think
Yeah.
about
It
it.
is insane. It's like it got to a point where like he would be on stage, like about to go on, he'd turn around and be like, "What city are we in?" And I'd be like, "Nanaimo."
Dude, that's so crazy.
Like, yeah, that dude hustles so hard. That dude
Wow.
works so hard. I'm surprised he's not dead. I don't know how he does
He's
it.
super healthy.
He's super healthy. That's what it is. Like every city we go to, he'd be like, "Yo, I need you to find me like the vegan restaurant." I'd be like, "Dude, we're in North Dakota."
They don't know what that word means.
Yeah.
I always see him doing like push-ups and like yoga and stuff
Yeah.
in videos. Like,
Yeah, I know.
it's a real thing.
Like that dude already doesn't sleep, and being his TM, you sleep less than he does, and then on top of it, he'd be like, "Come work out with me." I'd be like, "Dude, I think I have to go to the hospital." Like,
The true grind.
yeah, it was a great learning experience, but that shit is fucking intense.
So you were able to like eventually show your music to Steve? Is that like what
Yeah,
kind of broke you out?
I got to a point where I was like, I had to reevaluate what I was doing, because I was like, I could do this forever, but then I'd be a career tour manager.
Right.
And I knew, like, I loved doing it. It's fun. Tour managing's fucking great. You get to boss people around.
Right.
Like,
We love that.
yeah, you get to be a fucking asshole with like.
Yeah. Your
and
job is to be the asshole.
And nobody can say anything to you.
Right.
It's fucking great. But I knew I wasn't making any music at that time. Like whatever time I had off, I tried and just failed horribly. So I eventually decided I had to like take time off. And then at that point I had so many contacts with music people that I just like was in LA with no job. I was like, all right, I'm going to start hitting everybody up and like learning this shit. And yeah, eventually.
That's
That's
cool.
awesome.
It was like a natural thing. You were like, oh, I don't have a job, so I might as well make this work.
And luckily I was gone for 3 years straight. So I didn't pay any rent or anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Save that
so I
money
just
saved
like,
up.
yeah, stacked up cash. And
Didn't
just,
like Skirllex not have a home for like 10
Yeah,
years
he
or
was like
something
homeless.
crazy?
I don't know if I believe that though, because he was in a pretty successful band. So I mean, I'm sure he crashed with people and stuff, but
Just because he was on tour, I don't think he was like paying rent anywhere, right? Because
I don't know the story.
Yeah.
I've heard rumors. I
Yeah.
heard rumors he was like staying at a hotel.
I'm
or-
sure he had the broken rocket, all that stuff.
I mean, it sounds like a great financial decision
It's-
not to be paying rent while you're on
It's
tour.
an inspirational story just to hear anybody that's able to make it. And I think
Yeah.
that's great that you set out to be like, oh, this is what I want to do. Okay, I'm going to go work for Dimmac, you know? And like you made that shit happen. And then eventually that was able to help you in your career later on. you know?
Yeah, yeah. And I love it. Like, I still, anytime I see those guys, it's just like, we started together.
Hell yeah.
So dope, man.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Let's
Yeah.
let's keep going into I don't know, this is are we in the, where are we?
I think we looked over Serum Patch.
Nice.
Um,
Could we go maybe to let's hear the rest of the stuff and maybe go through some of the stuff in the second drop?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a psycho. I'm a psycho.
Also, this one's simple, just contact.
Oh,
Literally.
nice.
I
Scarby
use that
freebase.
too.
Yeah,
I love it.
And I just threw amp on it, easy. Actually, I wanted it to sound a bit more aggressive, so without it,
Yeah.
threw OTT on it. But then at that point, I had to throw a gate on it because it got really clicky because you have all the picking,
Finger noises
all the
and
finger
shit.
noises and shit. So I had to go pretty aggressive on the gate, and this is like the Jamiroquai fan in me with this part.
Hell yeah.
Using like a sync synth.
Oh wow. What an interesting layer.
Yeah, it's just it's something that it's funny. Like they did the Spotify like breakdown of 2019, and my most listened artist was Jamiroquai.
Really?
I'm like savagely obsessed with
So
Jamiroquai.
awesome.
He's super talented.
Yeah, they're
Or that band
yeah,
is.
that
I
band
should
is
say.
fucking amazing. But this is literally just a preset in Silent. It's called what is it? Bandisto.
Bandisto.
I've always liked this one. I've heard this fucking preset on so many dance tracks too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It's just a sync. It's a sync synth.
And it's just layered with the bass,
Yeah.
the bass line. Would you be willing to talk about the piano?
Yeah, sure. I
Sorry.
yeah.
I think it's a great tool. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, we were excited about that when
I,
you showed it to us.
It's funny because like studying music theory and like going to college for this shit, it's just like it's a shame.
use the easiest things.
It's a shame that, but well, part of it is the tone of the piano because it's very like Korg M1. But yeah, this is just literally.
It's hitting the notes for you.
It's called Forte. I think that's what it's called.
That's a stock. Is that a stock Ableton thing?
No, it's not. It's actually a contact pack, but it's like one of those bundles where they release like the Ableton rack version.
Oh,
And I
Gotcha.
decided to just bring it in.
I thought they only did that with like drum libraries.
I only do it with piano too.
That's so cool.
It's like hitting sevenths though. It's sick.
Dude, it's fucking dope. I mean, it goes across. I think it goes across like 49 key range.
Wow.
So it's not the full keyboard, but I mean, there's a lot you can do with it. And my favorite, the only reason I really liked it is because it had this M1 presence knob that literally just makes it sound more like a Korg M1, which is like the classic
that's
90s.
cool.
Like
Yeah.
every house song was written with that.
The
fucking
electronic piano.
Yeah. So simple loop.
Can I get that from you after?
Yeah. I'll
Yeah,
I'll
dude,
hook it up.
we
so
had
bad.
we had a Korg M1 here, and it just disappeared.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
fucking awful to work with.
Yeah,
They,
it's
Korg
like
actually-
green screen and everything.
Yeah, dude, fuck that. Korg makes
computer.
Yeah.
Korg makes plug-in versions of it now. So I guess like with this part though, like when I played it out, I was like, oh man, yeah, it calls for the bass line.
Fuck yeah.
So that's when you get like the.
Yeah.
That's killer.
Just give it some
Nice
stank.
groove.
Yeah.
I like how your two bass sounds just like naturally match with each other.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean that was
you didn't have
that was-
to you didn't have to change too much.
Yeah. It's like there's not even processing on this one. This one, yeah.
Sounds great as a layer.
And then the arranger in me, this is like my favorite part though. The strings. And the
Oh yeah. That's a big part.
And that's simple. That's literally just octaves on a staccato.
This is contact. Yep.
String ensemble, totally worth getting. I think this one is supposed to be playing too, but it's not.
Is it off the?
Yeah,
I love that.
I really like how your tracks are very melodic. You know,
Yeah.
there's musicality behind the EDM.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I can't stand tracks that don't have. I mean, it's music. It should be
Yeah.
musical.
Yeah, totally.
And then
Because that like nice like 70s 90s piano house vibe.
it's
that-
great. Just like you want to capture a vibe of
Yeah.
like something. Like I don't know. Like I hear in a lot of dance music these days, it's kind of unfortunate that you're like not picking up on references or stuff, or maybe like I don't know if kids are like educated in that way where they'll hear something like this and be like, oh, that reminds me of like this track in like from like the 90s or like but
I hope they
like,
do.
that's
I listen to
I
a lot
really
of, I
hope
listen
they
to a lot
do.
of fucking music, so like I'm always like nerding out, like, oh yeah, this reminds me of like that 1970s space disco track.
Yeah.
like
Yeah, some of our interns, they don't know.
They have
They
no
don't
idea.
know any 90s music at all.
yeah.
We're fucking boomers. That's why, boys.
Yeah, we're fucking old.
Boomer Nation.
We're fucking boomerangs.
Yeah, right.
I'm a psycho. I'm a psycho.
Riser.
Yeah.
I'm a psycho. Maniac. I'm a psycho.
Back into the acid bass.
Cool.
Also important. Sub riser.
Yep.
We set the club on fire.
Maniac.
All right. So
Oh, I love that part.
for the initial drop, this one, it's the same as the first, except vibrato. And you go.
Did you do that like pitch automation in the clip itself?
No, I did not. I was literally just adjusting the modulation. So yeah, first one, second one. So vibrato.
Some old school shit. I love
Yeah.
it.
Well, dude, I heard that patch. I was like, woo boost, let's go.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Let's go. Again, wait, did I do the high one in the first one? No. Okay, so I just had the low. And then added the high frequency just to create the variation.
Yeah.
And that's, again, basic patch. That through phase. Phase turn all the way up.
Sick.
What is it? Yeah, it's just a sine wave.
So much great things come from a sine wave.
I know, right?
Like
do
you
so
could
much.
you could process a sine wave to make the most amazing shit ever.
Yeah, it's funny because, like, I think a lot of kids getting into production think about, like, serum and stuff and, like, wavetable synthesis.
Yeah.
Like, it's the creme de la creme. But if you look at something like, additive synthesis, where you add you stack sine waves on top of each other to create sounds, it's like you can do, first of all, it's the hardest thing to do. I'd never fucking want to do that
Yeah.
process. But you can make anything with that.
Yeah.
Just stacking sine waves.
Yeah. It's crazy too because like for instance, if you take something like serum, like you might have a preset wavetable that sounds sick, like maybe it's like a crazy growl, but I guarantee you if you take a sine wave and you distort it and you saturate it, it's still going to sound cleaner than
Yeah.
the actual
For
piece of shit
sure.
wavetable that's been resampled
Yeah.
into a thing, and now serum's playing it back like a sampler versus just affecting a sine wave or a simple shapes, because I barely ever fuck with wavetables. Like we've put them in packs and stuff, and I like them. I'm not like hating on them, but I've always gotten the best sounds out of the simplest like
Just
sine
process
waves.
it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because like once you kind of learn the basic fundamentals of sound,
Yeah.
it's just like overtones.
Right.
That in general. Just if you learn overtones, that will teach you so much about getting a clean mix.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you have just like this crazy like unless you're Virtual Riot, because he knows everything.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
Yeah, he knows everything.
he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Don't try and mimic him unless you know what the fuck you're doing, because
Yeah.
it'll sound like shit. But
Everybody tries though.
Yeah.
yeah,
So funny.
Yeah, they try and they fail, and I laugh.
Yeah. For real.
Privately at home. Yeah, man. But like simplicity can sound great, especially like if you're fucking throwing a sub over it. Like, whoop. It's a big sound. It's what, 4 elements?
Yeah.
It's like nothing.
You're really good at layering sounds
Yes.
too. I
Yes.
noticed.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, that's
whether it be choice of sounds or how you're mixing them, I could tell that like all of your layers are really, really nice.
it's all about mixing decisions, because like without one of these elements, like the spectrum wouldn't feel full.
Right.
Like that's like what you want. And if you're playing a fucking festival set, you want to have that moment where everyone's like,
Yeah, man. Just putting your hands up.
It. And you're like, haha, it's 4 sounds,
Yeah.
motherfucker.
Yeah, dude. Like a lot of people, like when they first start out, they stack like
They
10
stack
sounds.
sounds.
Like
Yeah.
I was trying to make like the Z chords when I first started, and I just stacked literally 10 synths on top, and I was
Yeah.
like, why doesn't it
gets
sound
messy,
like
It gets
Z?
messy quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to break down like almost like you'd be looking at like a multiband compressor. Like you need to section out like how many notches do you have in a multiband? Like 4,
Right.
and it's just like you want to be able to highlight those, but with synths.
Yeah.
You have your sub, you have your mid bass, like the chunky mid, you have like upper mid, and you have your highs.
That's a really great, I think, tip for people because it's like sound designing for a purpose. It's not just like,
Yeah.
oh, like I want these chords to sound bigger. Let me layer another saw that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
But it's the same chords. It's like that's why your chords sound like shit because you're not layering properly.
Yeah,
You know?
I've seen some like crazy fucking EQs too from some of my friends who like bring
Yeah.
me these sessions, and like EQ will be notched to like 8K. I'm like, what's the purpose of this? He's like, well, it's adding like. I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
you don't need this.
Yeah.
You don't need this and the 5 others that you
Right.
have. Like, you can take this one, notch it to like 100 hertz to cut out the low end and layer it with a sub, and it sounds great.
Yeah.
Or like maybe like double the voicing and detune it a bit.
Yeah.
When I first started recording bands, I would have like 6 guitars on each side, just like with the craziest EQs just stacked on top of each other.
Yeah.
And it was just mud. It was a mud fest.
Yeah.
Shit gets so complicated so quickly. I mean, that's again pop music. Like
Yeah.
you listen to fucking Daft Punk, you hear like 6 instruments,
Right.
but they are
Choice.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Choice
Perfect.
instruments.
Yeah. I think your ear is a muscle, really, and like your ear gets better. Like I just really recently found like myself getting better at layering synths, like just being like, oh, like I layered that synth very well. Like, good job, Danny.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But like I feel like that's because your ear, as you sound design more, as you pick better samples, like that's how your ear gets better. And you find that you do a lot less mixing and a lot less stuff once your ear gets better, gets stronger.
Definitely.
It just knows what to choose.
Take your ears to the gym, boys
Yeah.
and girls.
Get those gains in.
Get those gains
I think
in.
also part of it is like my tinnitus is getting worse.
Oh, really?
So I have
Oh,
to
when
be
did that start happening?
Oh God,
Years ago?
Years ago.
Oh, yeah, you were on tour with Stevie Aoki.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, you're talking about like 1,500 shows here on
Yeah.
these years. I got some fucking wear and tear, but
Damn.
Did you go into it and like see what's like messed up or like what's boosted?
it's not great.
Oh man.
Wow.
Great. But I think it forces me to make better decisions.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean you have to. That's awesome.
Yeah, with what hearing I have left.
Yeah. I mean, dude, we met Dave Pensado at NAMM last year, and his hearing was like
Couldn't hear shit.
he couldn't hear anything, man. I was trying to talk to him. I was like literally inches from his ear, and then he could hear me.
It also
Yeah.
could be he was ignoring you too.
Yeah, he could be.
It could be like the case.
Dave.
It could be like the case from the Office. Where do you guys watch The Office?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
You know where Nate? He's like, just want to warn you, I don't have a hearing problem, but when there are a lot of sounds, I have a problem focusing.
Yeah.
It's like, I think that's my problem.
Selective
Yeah.
hearing.
Like if the air conditioning's on and my girlfriend's trying to talk to me, I'm like, I can't hear you.
So
She's
awesome.
like, that's not because the AC, that's because you're a dick.
Yeah.
All right, second drop.
Hit it.
Maniac. I'm a psycho.
Oh, I love that part.
I'm a psycho. Maniac.
Oh, okay.
That sound. Wait, we already showed that sound.
We already
huh?
did that sound, but okay, there's a big thing about all of this that is so fucking crucially important, and it's like the background noises. Literally.
Yeah.
So
Should put some track delay on there too.
did I?
On the laser.
Oh yeah, on this laser I did.
Sick.
Just because it felt off. But yeah, if you're not filling up like your backgrounds, shit just kind of sounds stagnant. It kind of breathes more life into your tunes. Just having these little tidbits, like
Yeah.
Maniac. I'm a psycho.
Oh yeah.
right, like,
Maniac.
even if you don't notice it, that's the one thing that will just give your track that extra like 10%
Yeah.
of like fullness.
It's the atmosphere.
It's subtle,
Yeah,
but it's needed.
yeah, atmospheric stuff. But it's like Yeah, lasers, blips and bloops.
Right.
We love lasers at Excellent, dude.
I fuck with lasers.
Like here, let's go. I think on this like dubstep section, like so there, it's like in the background you have
That's
Oh,
sick.
like,
that's
like
cool.
what is that? It's just like a weird laser and like this gated like panning.
It's just adding like a little extra, just a little bit of salt here.
Yeah, it's a
and, like,
little. It's a little bit of like the Salt Bay like sauce. on top.
paprika.
Yeah, yeah.
I love when you break it down in Bass House. Like, it, you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't happen
That-
enough, I feel like.
Dubstep.
Yeah.
Well, this is all of like I think it's like one bar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I still love it. I still
really
love it.
break it down hard, you know.
Fucking break the rail right there.
Yeah, right.
I'm a psycho.
Back in.
Maniac.
Another thing, stabs, always important on the ones.
That's massive, huh?
That one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Did I do anything crazy to it?
That's what I'm saying. It's like I it's
Yeah.
just in it. No preset loaded.
I'm super crazy with it.
I did
I
that
turned
the other
it to
day.
3 voices.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It sounds so good though. That's what I'm saying. Massive is like really good for like these like little polysynths and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah. And it's great. Like I forget. I saw some. I think it might have been a Virtual Riot one. He did like this one at Icon where it's like Virtual Riot makes a drop in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And literally like all these kids were like blown away by the fact that he just put like a 16 voice like detuned saw on the one.
Yeah.
They're like, oh my god, it sounds so big.
Yeah.
They're like, easiest thing ever.
Right.
Everyone should be doing it. Easiest thing.
Is it layered there too with something?
Yeah, let's see what this is. Okay, that's that. Oh yeah, Kill Bill synth.
Oh, love that sample.
Classic.
Yeah, easy to make. Literally. Take,
Oh shit, you made that.
yeah, yeah. Take a performer.
We move it over
Oh yeah, sorry.
since we're teaching.
Yeah,
We're teaching.
I forgot. Yeah, so you take like literally init patch. I turn it to saw 2. You can turn it to saw 1. Doesn't really matter. Drag performer on to the pitch envelope. Go up an octave, and then all you have to do is just set this one curve. Which one is it? That guy right there. And then just have the rest all the way up.
And it just holds it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So you
ju-
can
and
do
it
that in
just holds it
Serum
up.
too if you want it, but it's not gonna sound the same. I don't think.
It's kind of like a cool, like, West Coast, like, synth lead
Yeah,
for
yeah,
hip-hop and
yeah.
shit.
I'm all about the throwbacks.
I love it.
And then again, like BX and Valhalla both like synced up to the tune. So all together, and then horns.
Nice little stab on there.
3 samples.
Side chain.
Shitty. Eh. Old school.
Oh hell yeah.
Old school, that's sick.
That adds a nice little timbre to it.
Yeah. It's I love making things sound retro.
That's cool.
There are a bunch of plugins that I'd love to go into talking about that make things sound retro, but that would also be like another like hour tacked onto this conversation.
We got to talk about that after because I got some secret
Yes.
some secret plugs.
I just got I mean like I know RC20 is kind of like the creme de la creme on
That's
like
what Parker was gonna tell you.
No, that was
Yeah,
not.
yeah, were you
no,
about to
it
tell me
was
about
not.
RC20?
I promise. No,
Totally
no, no.
was.
No, dude. I promise you.
Have
What do you-
ever heard of RC20?
That would be funny if I just dropped that. But no, have you heard of Good Hurts? The Good Hurts plugs?
I'm not sure. Which ones do I?
You
Good
talking
Hurts.
about halftime?
No, I'm talking about do you know that band Wolfpack? That like funk band?
Yeah. Isn't it
It's like a
pronounced
bro-
Wolfpack?
I don't know.
He's just like making up a
I'm just
random
making
plugin
up a
out
whole
because we called
company.
him out on the RC20 bullshit.
No, dude, they have sick plugs. They started putting out like compressors and like lo-fi plugs. They're really sick.
Oh damn.
Good Hurts. I'll
Alright.
show you after the video. It's awesome.
I'm just
we'll
kidding,
trade some
Parker.
Yeah, dude.
So roasted you.
RC20.
Hey, bro, you ever heard of Serum?
Yeah,
There's a-
dude. I've heard of the Serum.
Thing. Oh, I added some hard trap.
Oh shit, you're a trap lord.
Yeah, dude. Trap Lord. I'm sure you guys know how to make this one. It's pretty easy.
Love
Detune saw and reverb filter.
Boombox Cartel?
Yeah, right.
Nice and high.
So yeah.
That's dope, man. I had another question for you, I think, that I was going to bring up, but I'm trying to remember what it was. I know what I was going to ask you. because I know people are gonna ask, your master, right? Everybody wants to know the deal with mastering, and I just want you to prove to people that it's not that big of a deal.
It's really not. It's all about mixing.
There you go.
I don't even need this plugin, but this one's great. I like
Yeah, the
it.
Brainworks stuff is
Yeah,
pretty
the
good.
Brainworks stuff. So essentially, this is just like a mid-side EQ. I don't even know if I'm using it on this track.
Are you
actually.
using do you use like a preset, or are you really?
No, I literally just load an in patch. Okay, yeah, I did notch out the sides
Okay.
to 150 hertz. So yeah, all the mid stuff like your kick and sub, that's all hitting on the low end, and then sides like upper basses, vocals, and stuff like that on the sides. You won't be hearing that low end mud. I'm pretty sure I did the same exact thing on no, I didn't. Wait, did I? Oh yeah, mid side. Yeah, so on Ozone on my EQ, mid is set to 20 hertz, sides set to 100.
So more mid-side EQ.
Not necessary at all, but I don't know. I just
Feels good.
I made that decision. I might have actually done Ozone first and then drag this on later.
Oh, okay.
And I was just like,
Sick.
I want to use this plugin.
Yeah.
so the Exciter is very great to use. It's a weird one. This one's more about like feeling to me. I don't really know the science behind it.
Yeah.
I kind of just tweak it till it feels right.
Right.
And like nothing extreme. Like see how like the mix is at 50% on everything. I'm
Right.
not even fucking with the low end. But yeah, you're looking at 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
and 50% on everything. Vintage compressor, just dropping down the threshold, and then maximizer, same thing. I actually lower the volume on here because I tend to fucking boost the fuck out of everything.
Okay.
Get that like saturated feeling in my mix. So I actually turn the metering down, depending on where it's hitting at 0. But so in this case, like I had to drop the whole mix down -7, and then I slapped limiter on -8.
Okay, I see. So you could push that limiter real hard, but it's still not. It's not crushing it. It's just barely touching
I mean, if
it.
I were to like take this off, I guarantee you my master would just be
smashed.
it'd be smashed.
Yeah, I find that. So that's the way you're doing your gain reduction at the. I guess it wouldn't be gain reduction. I guess it'd be your signal flows. You're taking it down with the actual output in Ozone,
Yeah.
and then allowing the limiter and stuff to bring it back up.
Yeah.
I don't know if you asked him this while I was gone, but when in the process of
good question.
producing, do you put your limiter on the master
From the get go.
from the get-go?
Nice.
Nice.
And I'll adjust it as needed.
Yeah.
As it goes along.
Yeah,
Like
Dan,
a stock one.
you told me
Yeah.
like early on, like you have to be at a point in your producing abilities to like throw a limiter on.
Yeah.
And like produce into the limiter. You know
I-
what I'm saying?
it's-
Sometimes people push it way too hard,
Yeah.
or they don't know how to use it. You know?
Yeah, I think it's great mixing into your mastering chain. It might not be for everybody. It might not be the right way. It's just the way that I've learned how to do it. And I guess at that point, it just comes down to like how you hear shit.
I think if you're like 60, you're like mixing without a fucking master on, because like as soon as I add a kick, as soon as I'm doing like big drums, like a kick and a sub and a snare,
Yeah.
like I need to see how that shit's gonna hit the master, because I'm trying to get everything as loud as possible, as you know.
Yeah.
Like everything needs to be as loud as possible, and as soon as if you slap a limiter on at the very end,
It's gonna sound weird.
and then your sub's not gonna be there, it's gonna be like, what the fuck? Like you're gonna have to go back in and adjust everything.
I mean, I'm hearing of like producers, like upper echelon producers in my mind, like
Okay.
the Virtual Rides and the Joyrides aren't even using mastering.
Yeah.
I think Joyride might be slapping like a little bit of a limiter on it. I know he uses invisible limiter.
yeah, it's a good limiter.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's a good one. But like, yeah, some of these guys are like, I don't need it.
Yeah.
I feel like
they
it's
might
like
limit their buses too. They put saturators on their
Yeah,
buses, and that's just trimming off those little fine edges that are there. That's all it's
And
doing.
it's kind of interesting too. Like people that use Ableton, I know with Logic, when you hit 0, you'll hear audible distortion past 0. But
Yeah.
with Ableton, that's not really the case.
Yeah.
You can just fucking drive it till you hear audible distortion,
Yeah.
which might be like plus 12 on
Right.
the fucking master. So it's like, I don't know.
I think
I don't
so
know
for
what to
me
do with that
too.
information.
Right.
I just like at that point, I'm like,
I'm so
I'll use my
sick of
ears.
this. Like there's like rules and stuff. Like it's the
Yeah.
second I saw Skirllex open up the Moonlight Power and I saw his master was clipping, I was like, fuck it, dude. I'm
Let's
turning
I
my
clip
haven't seen
master on.
everything.
that. I would
Dude,
love to watch that video.
It's sick. He doesn't. He kind of like cucks us, but like because he like shows like some stuff.
He probably doesn't want to get into.
Yeah, but like you literally can see on both tracks the master is just it's hitting the red just a little bit for the most part of the song. And I went back into the song that we were making for our house pack, and I literally just boosted because we were hitting like -6, which is super loud enough. It's like very very comparable to everybody else.
Yeah.
And I boosted it up like a dB in fucking just on the master already, and it fucking sounded fine and it sounded louder. I hit -4. I was like, fuck it, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think it's that like instant gratification too. Like at the end,
It's
Yeah.
with the limiter, just boosting it up a little bit. It's just like it's the fun. It's the fun of the track.
It's kind of curious too, because like now that I've gotten into doing like analog summing, like this session, I'm gonna end up throwing through the Dangerous D box,
Right.
And it'll become a lot quieter.
Right.
Like, I will end up mixing it quieter because I think it'll preserve some of the dynamics. That's like those are like the weird things that I start hearing when I start
Yeah.
running through analog summing. Or that could just be like psychosomatic. I don't know. Maybe I just start paying attention more once I run it through it
Right.
because I'm like, this is more serious now.
Yeah.
But it's like when you throw your track on Spotify, they automatically like
Yeah.
reduce it to negative 14.
They fuck it up.
Yeah, they reduce it so much, and like at the end of the day, it's like you don't need to have this like driving like -4 master.
True.
Like granted, like I try and sit at like -6, -7. That's
Yeah.
like
That's a word that not a lot of EDM producers say now is dynamics. You know,
Yeah,
everybody,
Very true.
everybody's
Dubstep
just
does not know those
squared
words.
out.
Yeah.
You know, they want to be as loud as possible,
they want
nothing
that dirty
quiet.
sausage.
But dynamics are important, especially when
Yeah.
you're going on those different platforms: SoundCloud, Spotify,
true.
Apple
I
Music.
think that's where like listening to Joyryde and like analyzing his music
Yeah.
is so like when I've talked to him, he's told me some like tricks that affect tracks dynamically that I would have never thought of.
Yeah.
Like he actually cuts out the transients on the second kick where the clap hits because the clap carries the transient and the kick.
Oh my god,
Two
that's so
chances
goes
smart.
doesn't
so
either.
deep.
Yeah, it's just like little tricks like that. I'm sure he has like 8 million tricks
Yeah.
that like he won't ever tell anybody. But the way like watching him view his tunes, like I think he has like an EQ graph for the stereo signal, the mid signal, this like left signal and the right signal, just to make sure
Wow.
everything's cohesive.
That's so crazy.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm not that good.
I also had heard too. I don't know if it was from him or from somebody that I knew that's friends with him, but that he does all of his sidechain manually, like everything has a volume fade, so that he can have complete control.
I know how he does his subs. I know it's one technique. I'm not gonna say this is like a definitive thing, but I do know that this is one trick. Super simple. Again, you take the track delay and you nudge it over, and that's it.
That's it.
So when your kick hits in correspondence, if you really want to get deep with it,
Could you do that in Ableton's track delay as well? Do you think?
Yeah, I've actually never tried it.
But that had a tack on it though. That was the envelopes delay. That's different.
This should be its own tutorial on its own. 'Cause it's kind of in depth. Anyway, so what you do is take a track that you would want, like say I take my sidechain right now. You put it next to the kick and you record the audio as like a test. You'll see where your kick starts and where your sub comes in. So you'll see the chunk of the waveform fade out. You'll see this come in. And essentially what you do is you'll take the track delay on your sub, turn off so you'll have the audio reference of the sidechained bass or sub. And then what you do is go into your sub and adjust the track delay and keep re-recording it till it matches up perfectly. And you will have the cleanest fucking sub ever.
So it's like it's again using math because it's milliseconds of when that kick ends. But are we talking about like when the actual tail end of the kick is, or are you talking about where it's nice and glued together?
Yeah, I wouldn't really call it math. I'd call it more of just like feeling at that point.
Yeah.
And here is where you can get like insane groove.
Yeah.
It's just fucking around between the correspondence between when your sub hits and the kick, just using delay on your envelope.
Which is different than the attack itself, because the attack is still starting the sound at the very start of when the MIDI note is hitting versus the delay.
You don't want your sound to hit for a brief period, and that is such a brief period,
right.
too.
I always found that was the best part about like getting 808s to smack was like it's more about the top kick hitting and being in that spot where it hits you in the chest and then the sub comes in.
Yeah.
Like that's the most important part about having a kick.
I'll always, whatever I design in, say, like Massive or Serum for 808s, I'll literally like freeze it, bounce to audio, and then do fade-ins for every kick. Because that way you just get full control. At the end of the day, like music in a DAW is all about control.
Right.
And the work you put in, like you're allowed to have that control if you want it.
Right.
You just have to work for it.
You get to see it too.
Yeah,
like you
yeah,
get
you
to
literally-
see where the waveform ends and where it starts.
And you feel like a
just
gangster the moment you do
Yeah.
it. You're like, yeah, I fucking did that shit.
And it sounds better too.
I crossfaded 800 kick drums
Yeah.
today. Like,
I know. You just let your OCD run wild.
and then your person you're talking to is like, you're a fucking nerd.
Yeah.
You're a fucking dweeb.
But that's can be the difference sometimes, you know what I mean? From making your shit sound professional
for
or not.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Biggest thing, if there were any big takeaways from today's talk, I would say clean up your fucking mix and don't allow clicks.
Yeah.
That's like,
It's 0 clicks.
oh God, it is. I hear my biggest pet peeve song ever because it has over 1 billion plays is God's Plan by Drake.
Really?
You wait
Are
till
there vocal clicks?
No, there's a fucking click in the hi-hat loop at the very end.
Oh
You
God.
can throw this track on and I will show it to you and you'll be like, bro.
And you'll never not notice it again.
Yeah, I hate that song.
Oh
now.
my God.
I love that song,
Yeah.
but I also hate that song. And I feel
It's just
very
lazy.
conflicted about it. Yeah.
We got to listen to it after this video.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'll show you the
I
exact
have
moment.
to hear it.
Sick.
I hear that shit all the time now too. It's like once you train your ear to hear clicks, it's just like impossible not to fucking hear them.
Yeah, it's like you basically fucked yourself.
It's a curse. Yeah, it's a curse. I don't enjoy music anymore.
Nice, bro. Well, dude, thank you so much for being here and showing us all this. I mean, as far as like this track, Maniac, right?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude. This track is sick.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you going over. I thought we got some great tips, some stuff that I'm gonna take away personally that I'm genuinely excited about. So
Oh,
that's
fuck
like,
yeah.
Yeah, me too.
but yeah, make sure you guys are liked, subscribe. Ephwurd, thank you for being here. Baise, Bree, thank you for being here. If you guys want to check out our website, we have tons of free content on there as well. We've got free downloads. Check out our Patreon for project files. And always, if you love Bass House, make sure you guys check out our pack In Your House.
Oh, yeah.
Show them that shit, Diego. Oh, yeah, I can't see it. But yeah, In Your House is out. Make sure you guys get it. You like Bass House. We're going to give it to you, by the way. We don't think you have it. We're going to give you some packs and shit. So
Yeah, we're going to hook you up with the
Okay, bro.
samples.
Hook me up.
I'm going to hook you up, bro. I got some sick samples, bro.
Yeah. I'll run
Nice.
some to death.
Let's play this out and we'll let's dance a little bit. Hit some vape. Hit some
Yeah,
some
let's hit the
brewskis.
jus.
We'll see you guys next time.
Go.